Hello everyone, how are you all? Good? Okay. Must be busy, right? You are attending a lot of online classes and learning a lot of things. It's good for us, right? Because now you cannot go out and we have to stay at home, and at the same time we cannot stop learning. So this is how we have to live in future also, because our life is going to be like this, before corona and after corona. Okay, so we need to adapt ourselves to our new situation and keep learning online. Fine. Anyway, so what do we do today? In your previous sessions, I think you learned a lot of grammar, right? What all have you discussed? Parts of speech, direct, indirect speech, and what else? Degrees of comparison, tenses, etc. Right? So let's move a step forward and learn 10 clauses today, right? We are going to discuss clauses. Okay, are you ready with your pen and paper? Here we go. You know, yesterday I had a strange experience, and I don't even know whether it's a strange experience or a terrible experience. I completed my work and went to bed, but then suddenly I woke up and I was shocked. You know why I was shocked? I'll tell you. I want to share this with you, but you have to listen to it carefully and think of a title to it. This is going to be your first task. Okay? I am going to share my experience with you, and you have to give a title to my experience. Right? Ready? Yeah. So I woke up and I was shocked. Why was I shocked? Because I found myself in a deep forest. Yes, I was there in a forest and I was scared. So I was looking for a way to get out of the forest. And lo, who was there in front of me? A big lion. And luckily, the lion didn't see me and I hid behind a tree. Okay? So it was a hot day and the lion was very hungry. He came out of his den and searched everywhere. And he found a small hare. But the lion was not happy. Why? Because he was very hungry and the hare was small. So he was not happy, but in any case he wanted to have it. As he was about to kill the hare, a deer ran that way. And the lion became greedy. He thought, instead of having this small hare, let me have the big deer. And he left the hare there and ran behind the deer. Fine. Then what happened? The deer disappeared in the forest, and by the time the lion came back, the hare also ran away. And then I started shivering, you know. I was very tense. I was dead scared. Why? Because what if the lion observes me and I am the biggest one and the lion can have a sumptuous lunch? But in the meantime, my mother woke me up and said, what happened? Why are you shivering in the hot summer? Right? It's time for you to get up and you have to go to TSAT studio. So then I realized that it was only a dream. And thank God I am not actually in the forest. Right? So now I want you, this is my dream, okay? I dreamt it, you name it. This is my dream and I want you to give a title to my dream. Maybe hungry lion, greedy lion, something like that, whatever you want. Okay, so your first task is name my dream. Okay, your first task is name my dream. This is my dream and you have to name it. Fine. Then let's go to our subject today. What is our task? What are we going to discuss today? Clauses, as we said. And here a note to my learned friends, right? And as you all know, clauses is a vast topic, and I'm not going to delve deep into it because of two reasons. One is the time constraint, and the other one is I don't want to confuse the students, because in 1 hour we cannot handle the whole thing. So I'm going to discuss only the basics of clauses, not everything. Okay? Right. Let's go back to our story once. Children, can you recollect a few sentences from our story? Okay, can you see here? So what sentences can you recollect? The lion found a hare, right? The lion found a hare. Okay. So this is one sentence. He came out of his den. Who came out of his den? The lion came out of his den, and what did he do? Searched everywhere. Okay, the lion came out of his den and searched everywhere. Right. Any other sentence that you can recollect? As he was about to kill the hare, what was the lion going to do? He was about to kill the hare. As he was about to kill the hare, what happened? Remember, a deer ran that way. He was about to kill the hare and a deer ran that way. Okay, these are the three sentences that we are going to discuss now. Observe these sentences. Are these three sentences similar, or do you find any difference among them? Let me this one. Yeah. Are these three sentences similar, or do you find any difference among them? Of course, this is a small one and this short and these are long. We are not talking about that. My question is, can we divide these sentences into meaningful parts? Parts is okay, but meaningful parts. Just let's look at this. The lion found a hare, right? Can we divide it into parts? No, not possible. If we divide it like this, they become independent words and then there will be no meaning. Now look at the first. So this is one single unit. This first sentence is a single unit, and does it have a meaning on its own? Yes, it does have a meaning. So a single unit and it has a meaning. So what do we call this? We call this a simple sentence. This is called a simple sentence. Can you see it clearly, children? Please try. The lion found a hare is a single unit which can stand on its own and it has its own meaning. So it is called a simple sentence. Right. Now look at the second one. Can we divide this into parts? I think yes. Where can we stop this? When can we put the oblique? He came out of his den. Up to that we can make it a part. Does it have a meaning on its own? He came out of his den. Yes. Right. Now what about the other one? Searched everywhere. For this we actually don't have a subject, but this he is a subject for this one also. He came out of his den. He searched everywhere. Now he came out of his den has its own meaning. It can stand on its own. And he searched everywhere also has a meaning. It can also stand on its own. So here in this sentence we have two parts which have their own entity, which can stand on their own and which have complete meaning. So this one, this sentence with two equal parts of equal status which are joined together with this conjunction end is called a compound sentence. Okay, this one is called a compound sentence. Right. So the first one, a single entity which has a complete meaning, is a simple sentence. The second one, which has two parts of equal status, is called a compound sentence. And now look at the third one, right? What is this? As he was about to kill the hare. Suppose we divide it here. As he was about to kill the hare. Does this have a complete meaning? As he was about to kill the hare. It is incomplete, right? What happened after that? We need to add some more words or a part of the sentence to complete the meaning. As he was about to kill the hare, as it doesn't have a complete meaning. It is a part of the sentence, but it doesn't have a complete meaning. Now let's look at the next one. A deer ran that way. Does it have a meaning of its own? Yes. A deer ran that way has a complete meaning. So this can stand on its own. This is a single entity which can stand on its own, but this part cannot stand on its own. This part depends on this part, okay? So in a sentence where we have two parts and one part depends on the other is called a complex sentence. This one is called a complex sentence. So are we clear about this? A sentence with a single unit as a single unit and which has a complete meaning is a simple sentence. A sentence with two or more independent parts which can stand on their own is a compound sentence, and a sentence where there is one independent part and one or more depending parts is called a complex sentence. Fine. Now we talked about the sentences, simple sentence, compound sentence and complex sentence. But then what about these parts? We have not talked about these parts, right? So this one, the whole is a single unit we discussed, right? This is called an independent clause. This part, not the sentence, this part is called an independent clause. These parts, the parts of these sentences are called clauses, and this is an independent clause because it can stand on its own. Right. Now this compound sentence has two parts and both are of equal status. These are called coordinate clauses. Okay. These are called coordinate clauses. Two clauses are there, two parts are there and both are of equal status. So they are called coordinate clauses. Now what about this third one? One is depending on the other, right? So this one which can stand on its own is called the main clause. Okay, the one that can stand on its own is called the main clause, and this one which depends on the main clause, this first part, is called the subordinate clause. Okay, subordinate clause, right. So the one that can stand on its own is the main clause, and the one that depends on the second one, the main clause, is a subordinate clause. Okay. So if it is a single unit, it's an independent clause. If it is a unit which has its own meaning but is combined with another unit of equal status, it's a coordinate clause. And if one clause depends on the other, the first part, the independent one, is a main clause, and the one that depends on the other is a subordinate clause. Look here. So the first one is a simple sentence. The second one, look at the slide please. So the first one is a simple sentence, the second one is a compound sentence, and the third one is a complex sentence. Is that what we discussed? Yes. Now what about the clauses? The first one is an independent clause, second one, two coordinate clauses are there in the compound sentence, and in the third one we have one subordinate clause and one main clause. Okay, that's all good. We have discussed a lot about all these, but then the question here is, what is a clause? We have not yet discussed what a clause is, right? We have been talking about different types of sentences and different types of clauses, but what is a clause? Now, according to Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary, clause is a group of words which has a subject and a verb, and it forms a part of a sentence or a complete sentence. So there are three things here. A clause is, the first thing is, a clause is a group of words. First part, it's a group of words. Second, it should have a subject and a verb. And the third point is, it forms a sentence or part of a sentence, right? Let's just check whether these, we thought that these are clauses, okay? Let's just check whether these sentences fulfill those conditions or not. The lion found a hare. So this is a subject and found is a verb and it is a sentence. So we can, I think we can call this a clause, right? The second one, he is a subject, came is a verb, right? And in this one also, again he is a subject here for us and searched is a verb. So we can call it a clause. And here again this is a subject and subverb, and this to kill we call it a to infinitive. And here in the second part, deer is a subject, ran is a verb. So all these clauses are groups of words like we discussed, and they all have a subject and a verb, and they form sentences or parts of sentences. So these are called clauses. Now look at this slide. So a clause is a group of words that includes a verb and a subject and forms a sentence or part of a sentence, right? Now what are the different clauses that we discussed so far? Independent clause or main clause, coordinate clause and subordinate clause, right? Do we understand all this, children, up to this part? Now a clause is a group of words that includes a sentence, that includes a verb and a subject and forms a part of a sentence or a sentence. And different kinds of clauses are independent clause, main clause, independent clause or main clause, coordinate clause and subordinate clause. Okay then. Shall we quickly check whether we understood this or not? A simple test. Look at these sentences. What do you see there? I want to buy a phone, but I don't have enough money. Right. So what kind of a clause is this? I want to buy a phone is one part. I don't have enough money is another part, and both are joined together with but. So can you guess? Yes, it's a coordinate clause, right? Now what about the second one? I am attending online classes. It's a single unit and we know it's an independent clause, right? As there is a lockdown, I am attending online classes. So one is depending on the other. So this is the first one is a subordinate clause and the second one is a main clause, and it is called a complex sentence, right? Okay, have we understood up to this part clearly, right? So first a clause, it's a group of words which gives a complete meaning, and then it has a subject and a verb, and it forms a sentence or part of a sentence, right? And what are the different clauses that we discussed so far? Independent clause or main clause. If there is only one, we call it an independent clause, and if we have a subordinate clause also in the same sentence, that is called a main clause. So independent clause or main clause, coordinate clause and subordinate clause, right? Now let's see what is here waiting for us. Oh, where does this train come from? Now we are not going to travel anywhere, right? Are we? No, I think we are not traveling, but still we have a train here. Why do you think we have this train here? Now what is the front part of this train called? The green part, it's an engine, right? And the rear part, the compartments. Okay. Now suppose we delink the train, these compartments from the engine like this. If we delink them, if we remove the link between the engine and the compartments, can the compartments move? No. Why? Because they need the engine to pull them. The compartments need the engine to pull them. So they cannot move on their own. They cannot live on their own. They can, but what is the use? And in the same way, the engine, can it move on its own? Yes, it can, right? So these compartments are depending on the engine. Now can we relate these compartments to a subordinate clause? Because it depends on the main clause. The compartments are like the subordinate clauses which need a main clause to complete the meaning. Okay, so this can be a subordinate clause, right? And then what about the engine? Yes, it can move on its own, but what is the use? If the engine goes on moving here and there, it's of no use. And if you have just the engine, do we call it a train? No, we call it an engine. If the engine and the compartments are together, then only we call it a train, right? So if we have the main clause simply or the subordinate clause, we cannot call it a sentence. Both depend on each other and they both need each other to complete the meaning, to give a complete thought, right? Are we clear? So, main clause and subordinate clause and how we have to use them, right? Now, what are the different types of clauses? Now, we have already discussed a few types of clauses till now. So, a clause, what is a clause? It's a group of words which has a subject and a verb and which forms a part of a sentence or a sentence. Fine. What are the two types of clauses? Independent clause and main. Independent clause or main clause, and a dependent clause or a subordinate clause. And what if you combine two independent clauses together, it becomes a coordinate clause. Okay? If you combine two independent clauses together, you get coordinate clauses. And what about dependent or subordinate clauses? There are different kinds of subordinate clauses like a noun clause, adverbial clause, adjectival clause and relative clause, right? Okay, let's discuss them in detail first. Are you with me? Are you following what we have been discussing? Is that clear? Okay, now I have a doubt. Can I ask you a question? Yeah? How many letters are there in the English alphabet? 26, of course. Is that a question to be asked? No, but still I just wanted to make sure that you all know that there are 26 letters in the English alphabet, right? Out of those 26 letters, which is the biggest one? Yes, you heard it right, the biggest one. Some of you may know the answer, but others might be wondering, what is this lady talking about? How can the letters be big and small? Of course, we have capital letters and small letters, but I am not talking about that. Which is the biggest letter? Any guesses? C. The letter C. Why? Because it has a lot of water, right? There is a lot of water. C. S-E-A-C. Right? So, the biggest letter in the English alphabet is C. And which letter is a drink? This you know, I think. Tea. We all drink tea, right? We all have tea. Okay, fine. Now, the clauses. The first one is coordinate clause. We are going to discuss coordinate clauses first, and then we have to discuss the subordinate clauses. What are those subordinate clauses? Noun clause, adverbial clause, adjectival clause and relative clauses. And to tell you the truth, all these clauses are named according to the function they perform in a sentence, right? In one of your previous sessions, you discussed parts of speech, right? There you talked about nouns, pronouns, adjectives, adverbs, all these conjunctions and all these 8 parts of speech. Now, this noun clause is based on what you discussed there. Noun clause functions as a noun. Very simple. And adverbial clause, it functions as an adverb. Adjectival clause functions as an adjective, and a relative clause also similar to an adjective and functions as an adjective, right? So, mostly. So, these are the clauses that we are going to discuss now. Shall we move forward? Ready? Yeah. So, we have some subordinating conjunctions and some coordinating conjunctions. To combine these two sentences together, the clauses together, to combine these clauses together, we have few conjunctions, some subordinating conjunctions and some coordinating conjunctions. But remember, this list is not exhaustive. These are not the whole conjunctions. I have given you a few as examples. These subordinate conjunctions, there are many. You can Google or you can look in a good grammar book. You will get all those. Fine. So, let's look at the coordinating conjunctions first. Can you see those letters in yellow color? Are they visible to you? So, what are the first letters of all those coordinating conjunctions? F, A, N, B, O, Y. Yes, right. Does it make a word? F, A, N, B, O, Y, S? Yes. Fanboys. This is called a mnemonic. That means if you form a word with the help of the first letters of say a sentence or something to remember it better, it is called a mnemonic. Okay? Right. So, these are the most important and oft used coordinate conjunctions. Fanboys. There are other also. You can sometimes use a comma, you can sometimes use a colon like that, but the oft used, mostly used coordinating conjunctions are these. Fanboys, okay? If F for and, nor, but, yet, or, yet, and so. Fanboys. And out of these, the mostly used coordinating conjunctions are and, or, but. Are you not using them regularly? Every day we use them, right? They are the most used and the most familiar conjunctions of all, right? But this for, the first one, looks like a preposition, right? We use it as a preposition. Yes, we do. But sometimes we use it as a coordinate conjunction also. I love to read books, okay? For, I always go to the library. For, I love to read books. Here for doesn't mean the meaning of the preposition, but here for means because. I go to the library for I love to read books. It gives a reason why I go to the library, for I love to read books. Now this is a coordinating conjunction here. And the lion, we have just discussed. The lion came out of his den and searched everywhere. That's a coordinating conjunction there, right? Nor, neither nor, you know neither nor. I neither like books or nor movies. I like neither books nor movies. I don't like either, right? So nor is used there. But, we always use but. I like apples, but I don't like oranges. I love movies, but I don't like cricket match, right? Like that, something, whatever. It tells you the opposite, the contrast, right? The next one is or. Either you can watch a movie or you can listen to music. You can read Hindi or English. So, or is used as a conjunction to combine two words or phrases or two clauses, right? And then yet. What about this yet? Yet also does a function of a conjunction but. More or less they are similar. Yet and but are similar. But then there is a minor difference. I tell you what. Now but is used for contrast, opposite things. Like I said, I like apples, but I don't like oranges. Now there the opposite things are given to us. But here when you use yet, it is also a contrast, but then that gives you a surprise. You don't expect what happens afterwards. Something unexpected happens. For example, I studied well, yet I didn't get good marks. I studied well and I expected good marks. But then the result was not that. I didn't get good marks. So I am surprised. I am shocked. I don't know why I didn't get good marks. So there we use it. I studied well, yet I didn't get good marks. Right? I never touched my books, yet I got 10 on 10. That's also a surprising thing. So this is the difference between but and yet. And then so. So tells you the reason. I am tired, so I went to bed early. I want to come to the studio, so I started early. So tells you the reason. These are the coordinating conjunctions. Let's look at a few examples, right? So a coordinate clause is one of two or more clauses in a sentence having equal status. Coordinate clauses like we discussed here. Lion, he came out of his den and searched everywhere. There are two clauses and both are of equal importance, and these are introduced by coordinating conjunctions like we discussed. Fanboys, okay? For and nor, but, yet, so. So look at the first sentence. She goes to the library regularly for she loves to read books. Again, I am telling you, for is not used as a preposition here. It's a conjunction here, okay? She goes to the library for she loves to read books. I like to read books and I like to listen to music. He invited neither his friends nor his colleagues for the party. Right. And then, I completed my English assignment, but I couldn't complete my science project. Okay. I will play a game or I will watch a movie after going back home. Now my session is over, right? After going back home, I will play a game or I will watch a movie. I have an option there. choice. I walked fast, yet I couldn't catch the bus. I was tired, so I went to bed early, right? So all these conjunctions are used to join two coordinate clauses together to form compound sentences, right? Okay. Now after coordinate clauses, what do we discuss? Like we discussed earlier, it's going to be a noun clause, okay? Right. Now what is a noun clause? A noun clause functions as a noun, as its name denotes. It functions as a noun and it can be a subject or an object, and it usually begins with words like that, which, whom, whose, why, if or whether, whoever, however, etc. Now what is a noun? Noun is a naming word, and here also a noun functions like a noun clause also functions like a noun. It can be the subject of a sentence or it can be the object of a sentence, and it is introduced by these words, okay? For example, look at this. I believe that you understand the concept. Now what do I believe? Here is one a small tip for you. If you want to make sure whether, if you want to know whether it's a noun clause or not, you replace this noun clause with it or he or she. If that word fits there and gives it a meaning, then it's a noun clause, okay? I believe it. What is it? That you understand the concept. Now that you understand the concept is the object of this sentence. I is the subject, believe is a verb, and that you understand the concept is the object. Now that is a noun clause introduced by that. Look at the second one. No one knows when life will be normal again. We don't know. No one knows that. What? When life will be normal again. No one knows. No one is a subject. Knows is a object. And when life will be normal is the object of the sentence. How careful we are is important. How careful we are. What is important? It is important. What is it? How careful we are. So how careful we are is a subject of the sentence and is the verb, right? How careful we are is the subject of the sentence, and that is a noun clause. And then whoever has doubts can contact me. Who can contact me? He can contact me, she can contact me, right? Who are those he or she here? Whoever has doubts can contact me. This whoever has doubts works as a noun clause in this sentence. And then what you said is correct. What is correct? What you said, it is correct. What is it? What you said. It is the subject of this sentence. So what is a noun clause? How do we understand a noun clause? A noun clause functions, is a clause of course, and it functions as a sub-noun, and it can be the subject or the object, and it is introduced by words like that, when, how, who, whoever, whom, etc. Right? So are we clear about noun clause? Look at this. These are the pronouns that we use while combining clauses. But remember, the moment you see WH, you think that they are WH words and that you are going to frame questions. But remember children, these are not WH words, the question words here. In clauses, these are not used as questions, but they are used as conjunctions like relative pronouns. So how do we use them? In subject place, for persons we use who, and for things which and that. Whereas in object place again, who or whom for persons, which and that for things. And as possessive, we use whose. Whose for a person and whose for a thing also. And then for place, we use where, and for time, we use when, and for reason, we use why. Okay? Let's move on. Okay, now we have discussed a few things so far, right? Shall we try a quick test now? Like we did earlier, a small test for you, right? Here are a few sentences with fill in blank, with blanks, and two words are given for you to fill in those blanks. You have to choose the right one. Look at the first one. I am not going to tell you dash you should do. The options given are that, what. So which one is the correct here? I am not going to tell you that you should do or what you should do. Yes, I am not going to tell you what you should do. The second one, I don't know dash to solve this problem. How to solve or who to solve? How to solve this problem, right. The next one, I believe what you are all attentive, that you are all attentive. That, I believe that you are all attentive. Then, I visited the town which I was born, where I was born. So, which is the answer? Where I was born. Okay. This is how we use conjunctions, right. How many of you got them right? Clap for yourself if your answers are correct, right? Good. Let's move on. Now, what are we going to discuss next? Before we go to adverbial clauses. The next one is of course adverbial clauses, but before we go to adverbial clauses, I just have one more doubt here. Shall I? Right. Now, this is hot summer and we all like to have some cool water. So, what do? We keep our bottles in the fridge, water bottles, and then they freeze, right? And if you keep them in the deep freezer, you get ice also. But the question here is, which type of water does not freeze? Do you get the question? Which type of water does not freeze? Think about it. In the meanwhile, let's discuss adverbial clauses. Now, adverbial clauses are used for different purposes, like it can be used to talk about reason, it is used to talk about time, it is used to talk about condition, it is used to talk about purpose, it is used to talk about manner, and it is also used to talk about place. For all these, we use different conjunctions. To talk about reason, we use because or since. To talk about purpose, we use so that. To talk about time, we use unless, until, before, after, etc. And to talk about place, we use where. And to talk about manner, we use as if, that, like, okay, if. And for condition, we use if and unless, and for purpose, so that. Okay, right. So, for example, how do we use them? For example, I reached here early because I started early. That's a reason, right? I reached here early to the studio because I started early. That's the reason. Okay. If you start early, you will reach early. That's a condition. You cannot reach early unless you start early. Again, that is also a condition. Right. She is eating something, a fruit or whatever, as if she is hungry or she is starving. Like, how is she doing it? She is performing the task as if she is an expert. Right? Yeah. Work hard so that you will have a bright future. We are talking about the purpose. Work hard. What is the purpose of working hard? So that you will have a bright future. Right. Then how do we talk about time? We use until, before, after, etc. to talk about time. Don't go out until the bell rings. Come to the class before the bell rings. Don't be late. Come to the class before the bell rings. Don't come to the class after the bell rings. Right? This is how we use before, after, until, etc. to talk about time. So, what are the different uses of an adverbial clause? We use it to talk about manner, to talk about purpose, to talk about reason, to talk about place, to talk about manner, and to talk about condition. And for all these, again, we use different conjunctions like because, since, until, unless, for, if, so that. Now, if is used to talk about condition, as if is used to talk about manner. Don't get confused. As if talks about manner, if talks about condition. Fine. Let's look at a few examples here. I reached early because I started early. That talks about the reason. You can't leave the room until the bell rings. It talks about the time. Please do as I have told you. talks about manner. If you want to be safe, wear a mask. That's a condition, right? We should maintain physical distance so that we can be safe. It's a purpose. You can sit wherever you want. We are talking about place here, right? We should maintain physical distance so that we can be safe talks about purpose, and you can sit wherever you want talks about place. Okay? Right. So, what have we discussed so far? We discussed adverbial clause, and adverbial clause functions as an adverb, and we use it for different purposes, and at the same time we use different conjunctions to combine and to introduce an adverbial clause. Now again, as you see on the screen, it's a test time for us. Okay? I waited for my friend dash sunset. Until sunset or unless sunset? Which is the correct answer here? Let's see. Until sunset. I waited for my friend until sunset is the correct answer. Work hard, you will have a bright future. The second one, work hard so that you will have a bright future. The next one, I was late, I missed the bus. So, because, unless. I was late because I missed the bus. I was late unless I missed the bus. Which is the correct one? I was late because I missed the bus. Right. I don't know dash they live. Who they live? Where they live. Which is the correct answer? I don't know where they live. Okay. So, are we clear about adverbial clauses? Adverbial clause functions as an adverb, and it is used for various purposes like time. It talks about time, reason, purpose, place, manner and condition, and we use different types of coordinating, different use of subordinate conjunctions. We use different conjunctions to talk about these adverbial clauses. Fine, very good. I hope you are all with me. Right. Okay, now my previous question, have you thought about that? Okay, now the question here is, which type of water does not freeze? It's hot water. Hot water can never freeze. Why? If you want to freeze it, you have to make it cool first. Then you cannot call it hot water any longer. Right. Now, adjectival clauses. Now, adjectival clauses are introduced by relative pronouns or subordinate conjunctions. These adjectival clauses function as an adjective, and they are introduced by who, whose, whom, which, that, and when, where, since, etc. Look at these sentences. The book that I bought was interesting. So, what is that I bought is talking about? The book. So, it's an adjective here. I have a friend who is always cheerful. Who is always cheerful is talking about the friend, right? And in the next sentence, that is a boy whom you want to see, right? Whom you want to see talks about the boy, an adjective again. This is a park where we play. Where we play is talking about park here. I like the dress which my mother bought for me. So, we are talking about this, which my mother bought for me is talking about the dress. So, then a relative clause. A relative clause begins with a relative pronoun or relative adverb. Relative pronouns we know. And what is a relative adverb? Relative adverbs are when, why, where. Okay? Functions as an adjective. Do you know why we are in lockdown now? Now, why we are in lockdown now is talking about the reason, right? And the book which I bought yesterday is interesting. Which I bought yesterday is a relative clause which is talking about the book. Okay. So, there are two types of relative clauses, defining relative clause and a non-defining relative clause. 10th class students, you have this in your text. Right. Now, what is a defining relative clause and what is a non-defining relative clause? My cousin who lives next door is a doctor. And if you look at the screen, the second one is also the same. My cousin who lives next door is a doctor. Now, what is the difference between these two sentences? You find it, the second one in commas, right? The middle part, that is the relative clause. Then why do we use them like that? In the first one, who lives next door is giving essential information about my cousin. Okay, these relative clauses, they give extra additional information or essential information about the subject. Okay, in the first one, my cousin who lives next door is a doctor. This who lives next door is giving essential information about my cousin, whereas in the second one, my cousin who lives next door is a doctor, it's giving extra information. How do we know that whether it's an extra information or essential information? In the first one, see, I have two cousins, right? And the one is a doctor and another one is a lawyer. So I want to mention that this one who is a doctor, my cousin who lives next door is a doctor. My cousin who lives somewhere else is a lawyer. So this is an important information here. Whereas in the second one, my cousin who lives next door is a doctor. Now I know that I have only one cousin and she lives next door. You know that. I am just giving extra information about this. My cousin who lives next door. My cousin is a doctor and you know that, and this is an extra information. My best friend who is always cheerful lives in Hyderabad, right? My best friend lives in Hyderabad. And this who is always cheerful is an extra information about her. Okay, fine. Look at the next one. So how do we combine into defining relative clauses or non-defining relative clauses? The film was really interesting. We saw it last Sunday. Now, we saw it last Sunday. This part, is it giving extra information or important information? That has to be important, essential, because you cannot, we saw many movies, right? We see many movies, and I want to mention particularly that the movie that I saw last Saturday. So this is an important information. So how do we combine it? The film was really interesting. We saw it last Saturday. So the film we saw last Saturday, which we saw last Saturday, was interesting. The film which we saw last Saturday was interesting, right? Rohan is going to get married. He is a lawyer, right? Is this giving extra information or important information? Rohan is going to get married. That is the information that we want to convey. And he is a lawyer is an extra information. So how do we combine these sentences? The film which we saw last Saturday was really interesting. This is a defining relative clause. And Rohan is going to get married. He is a lawyer. This can be combined like Rohan, who is a lawyer, is going to get married. Now, who is a lawyer is an extra information there, right? Okay, fine. Now, quick check. Now, we have discussed different kinds of clauses here. Just see whether we got them right or not, whether we understood it or not, because within the given span of time, we discuss so many things, right? I burned the midnight oil because I wanted to submit my project in time. What kind of a clause is this? I burned the midnight oil because I wanted to submit my project in time. It's an adverbial clause, right? And then I can do whatever I want. How many parts are there? One single part. So it's an independent clause and it's a noun clause. I can do whatever I want. A person who plays games is a player. This is a relative clause. And the last one, the apple that I bought was delicious. It's an adjectival clause. Okay. So adverbial clauses, noun clauses, relative clauses and adjectival clauses. So we discussed, what all have we discussed till now? Clauses. What is a clause? Clause is a group of words which has a subject and a verb and forms a sentence or part of a sentence. Right. And then what are the different types of clauses? Independent clause, main clause, subordinate clauses, and in subordinate clauses we have 4 different types of clauses: noun clause, relative clause, adjectival clause and adverbial clauses. Right? Okay. Then finally your task. The first one I have already given you. Name my dream. Okay. Now the second one is, we talked about the train. So think of a real life example for coordinate clauses like the train example. And the next task is, choose any 10 sentences from your textbooks, write them in your notebook and mention the type of clause in that. Choose at least one sentence for each clause. Okay? Right? Okay. Stay safe. Stay home. Right? Keep learning, because We need to learn online in future also. I hope you are able to get something out of this, though we did it in a hurry because we included a lot of things in this 1 hour session. All the best, keep learning. Thank you.